Aloha mai kako, a como mai curtain call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. Seabury Hall Performing Arts presented Stoppard Squared, two hilarious Tom Stoppard 1-acts last weekend, The Real Inspector Hound and The 15-Minute Hamlet, directed by Marsha Kelly. It's too bad you won't have a chance to see these madcap, over-the-top, absurdist, farcical comedies. They only ran for one weekend. These plays premiered in 1968 and 1976, respectively. Tom Stoppard is best known for the multiple Tony Award-winning 1966 play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and his most recent effort, also a multiple Tony Award winner, Leopoldstadt, in 2023. The Real Inspector Hound is a satire on critics. Stoppard was one before becoming a playwright, murder mysteries, and the theater. Two critics, Moon, Wolf Pell, and Birdboot, Turner Ashton, arrive for a play. These guys are the definition of pompous. We learn Moon is here because the top critic, Higgs, whom he despises and wishes to take the place of in the not-too-distant future, couldn't make it. Birdboot apparently is a womanizer who exchanges good reviews for certain favors from young actresses, although he is a married man. In fact, he is having an affair with one of the actresses in the play. They are about to review. After extended, very funny conversation between the critics, the play begins. Ms. Kelly staged this show in thrust stage. The audience sits on three sides of the stage. It brings the audience into a much more intimate contact with the players. While the critics continue their banter, the housekeeper, Mrs. Drudge, Leona Santos, enters as the radio informs us of a madman lurking about the manor grounds the police are seeking. They conclude their conversation for now, and the lights go up. Mrs. Drudge does a very funny ballet. Mrs. Drudge takes a phone call, setting the scene. In comes Simon Gascoigne, Logan Otagaro, a newly arrived neighbor. He is there to see the lady of the manor, Cynthia Muldoon, Ruby Mackey. He learns she is playing tennis with Felicity Cunningham, Catherine Hampy, the woman he is having an affair with. He tries to escape when a tennis ball bounces into the room and Felicity enters to retrieve it. She's surprised to see Simon there. He tells her it's over. He is in love with Lady Cynthia. When he tells Felicity, she screams she will kill him if he does this, which Mrs. Drudge witnesses. Lady Cynthia enters and tells Simon she wants him, but is still mourning the loss of her husband Albert, who disappeared 10 years ago. Later, Simon threatens to kill anyone who comes between he and Lady Cynthia, which Mrs. Drudge also witnesses. Into this mishigas the crippled brother of Lord Albert, Lord Magnus, Avila Mizell, who is also in love with Lady Cynthia. Enter Inspector Hound, Kit Trumpo. He is looking for the madman. Everyone goes hither and yon to find him, leaving Simon alone. The act in the play within a play ends with Simon discovering a body, Tori Migata, that has been under the couch since the start and being shot. It is intermission, and the critics continue their banter when the phone on stage begins to ring. No one comes, so Moon goes and answered it. It is for Birdboot. He comes down, and it is his wife. He assures her he is faithful and loving. Then the play begins, and Felicity enters, and we go back to the same scene we have just seen, only Birdboot is now Simon. Moon tries to get him out of there, but the show must go on. Inevitably, Birdboot, as Simon, is shot after realizing the dead body is Higgs. Moon comes on to find out what happened to Birdboot and takes the role of Inspector Hound. The two actors playing Simon and Inspector Hound take the place of the critics and continue the pomposity. Magnus accuses Moon of Higgs' murder, and Magnus reveals that not only is he Albert, Cynthia's long-lost husband, but he is the real Inspector Hound and the third-string critic, Puckeridge. As the critics Wolf Pell and Turner Ashton satirize their well-known bombast, pretentiousness, and over-intellectualization with the precision of a surgeon, their conversation during the performance was both funny and enlightening. When they became unwitting players, It was done brilliantly. In the play within a play, Ms. Santos was having so much fun observing the antics of the upper classes. Catherine Hamby's Felicity was a quintessential femme fatale. Her squealing laughter and anger were great choices. Ruby Mackey knows how to command the stage. Her lady Cynthia was the center of attention. Logan Otegaro gave a suave debonair and smarmy Simon. Avalon Meisel's wheelchair-bound Magnus Muldoon was so over the top, from her reckless entrance running down Simon to her reveal of her true identities. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Tori Megiddo, as the body, was motionless for the entire 58 minutes of the show. The 15-minute Hamlet was an exploration of the most famous lines in the play and most well-known scenes, abbreviated to their essence. It opened with an introduction by the bard himself, Sasha Maisel. The ghost of Hamlet's father, Kalia Durbin, appears to Bernardo, Peyton, Prudy, Marcellus, Andy Clayburgh, Francisco Eliana Moore, and Horatio, Noah McCann. Horatio tells Hamlet, Casey Megiddo, what he has seen. That night they return, and Hamlet's father tells him to avenge his murder by his uncle Claudius, Brandon Yu. The scene concludes with Hamlet declaring, "The time is out of joint, O cursed spite, that ever I was born to set it right." Ophelia, Sophia Scott, joins her father, Polonius, Coaster Vines, to discuss Hamlet's strange behavior. Hamlet enters reading, and Polonius inquires as to what he is reading. Hamlet replies 3 times intermittently, words, words, words. Hamlet will put on a play about the murder of his father and see how Claudius reacts. The play's the thing, wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king. He does the line to be or not to be. Ophelia enters, and he orders her to get thee to a nunnery. They leave, and Claudius decides the best place for Hamlet is in England. At the play, Claudius reveals his guilt. Polonius decides to hide behind some curtains in Gertrude's room so that he might gain knowledge as to what is going on. When Hamlet attacks Gertrude, Polonius yells for help, and Hamlet stabs him. Laertes, Ethan Barry, finds out as his sister Ophelia falls, Hamlet is responsible for Polonius's death and vows revenge. We get the gravedigger scene wherein gravedigger Mackenzie Hobbs reveals the identity of the skull. Hamlet says, "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well." A funeral procession enters, and Hamlet sees it is Ophelia. He is heartbroken, and when he reveals himself, Laertes wants revenge. They meet up for the fencing match. However, Claudius has poisoned the tips of the swords, and he offers Hamlet a drink, but Gertrude drinks it instead. Laertes, as he dies, reveals the swords have poisoned tips. Gertrude dies, and Hamlet runs Claudius through, and Hamlet dies. The play ends with Fortinbras as Mina Zine Udan, declaring, "And flights of angels sing thee to thy rest." Ms. Kelly assembled a stellar group of actors for these plays. Ms. Megiddo's Hamlet was pretty crazy from the start, and her tussle with Gertrude was quite something. Master Yu demonstrated regal bearing and leading man charisma. Ms. Scott's Ophelia was as flitty and light as a butterfly, and Master Barry's Laertes presented fraternal anger and affection. Ms. Kay's Gertrude was spectacularly regal. Everyone in this race-through of one of the most famous plays ever did excellent work. Ms. Kelly gave these young actors an experience they won't soon forget, and she did marvelous sets as well. As with every Seabury production, the stage elements are top-notch. Kudos to Andre Morissette for the costumes, Jet Werner and Todd Van Amberg for the lighting, and Peter Della Croce and Matthew Hardwick for the sound. It's really too bad you won't be able to catch this outstanding work. Keep your eyes open for next year. They always do worthwhile performances. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for joining me. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.